everybody, welcome to the show. Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel, Raising A to Z. It is a YouTube channel all about homeschooling. My name is Amanda. I am a teacher-turned-homeschool mom. This weekend is Thanksgiving here in Canada. Yes, we have Thanksgiving in the middle of October. We're kind of lucky that we have some American families, so we actually get 2 Thanksgivings a year. So we get one in October and one in November, and I think that's kind of a great thing. We enjoy Thanksgiving for not the colonizing and all of that, but I like Thanksgiving because it's a time to remember to be thankful, and it's time to remember to count our blessings. And I like that's a specific day that we are like, yeah, we're gonna sit down and remember why we're thankful for the life that we have, and to find a little bit of good in sometimes very chaotic situations or in very busy lives. It's nice to have a day to set aside to like, let's focus on the good things, focus on our blessings, and take some time to be thankful for those things. So since it's Thanksgiving, I thought I would share some of the reasons why I'm thankful that we homeschool. I think homeschooling has been such a blessing for our family, and I think it's a blessing for a lot of families out there. And so I thought I'd share kind of my top 5 reasons that I'm thankful that we homeschool. But before I do that, why don't you guys subscribe and click the bell so you get notifications about our videos? Go down into the comment section and tell us why you are thankful that you homeschool. I think it's always fun to share our blessings and share what we are thankful for, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So I have 5 reasons why I'm thankful we homeschool. Number 1, I get to watch the light bulbs go off. As a teacher, that was like my favorite thing. That was the thing that I loved the most in the classroom, was having a front row seat to these like aha moments, like literally sitting there and just watching it click with a kid, watching them get excited when they were able to do that math problem and they got it after struggling for a long time, or watching a kid read a book for the first time and just being like, oh, I did it. Like, I loved that as a teacher. It was so affirming. It was so exciting. It was just wonderful. It was a wonderful feeling. The reason I love homeschooling is that I get to witness those moments with my own kids all the time. If they were in school, I wouldn't necessarily be there the first time they, struggled through a math problem and then solved it and were really excited about it. I wouldn't have been there when they were doing an experiment. They finally got it was like an aha moment for them. I wouldn't be there necessarily when they read their first book. I wouldn't have been there. I would have been at home and I might have gotten like a little note in my kid's agenda, but I wouldn't have actually been there to see it. And so I'm really thankful that I get to witness that as their mom and as their homeschool teacher and guide. I get to be the one who sits there and sees it click. I get to see the click in their little brains, and I get to see the light bulb go off. And I just love it. And I think that is just something that I am so thankful for this year and every year. I love it. It's just like the best, to me, it's like the best feeling. Number 2, the second reason I love homeschooling is we can take our time. We can it is so nice to just go at your own pace. Sometimes my kids are like, they want to zip through their workbooks or their activity or whatever we're doing, and they're done in 10 minutes, and that's great, and we can move on to something else. Sometimes they're just like a little bit slow that day, and they're just kind of turtle pace for the day. That's okay. I'm not on a rush. I'm not on a schedule of like, okay, we need to be done language by 9 o'clock so that we can move on to math because we have like this person coming at this time and we have to move on to this because we need so many allocated blocks at that time. And we don't have that. Like, I'm not on a schedule. We can kind of move at our pace, and I can move at my kids' grade pace. So like, sometimes my kids are a little bit ahead of where their grade peers would be. Lexi's doing grade 2 math right now, even though she's only in grade 1. That's okay. She kind of whipped through grade 1 really quickly and is, grade 2 seems to be a bit more of a appropriate grade level for her right now. That's fine. We can kind of work at that pace. Meanwhile, she's definitely right on track for language, and Zoe is maybe a little bit behind on language. It's okay. Like, there's no reason that we have to like rush to get through everything. I really believe kids are going to learn things at their own pace. I think every kid is going to learn things uniquely and on their own schedule. And I think that's just such a blessing for us as homeschoolers, is we can take the time to do extra practice, or to, go a little faster, or slow things down, or we have that ability in our homeschooling to really match the pace of our kids, which I think is a much healthier, stronger, better way of learning anyway. Number 3, we get to learn about what we want. Not to knock the education system. I think they really try to get as many topics and things covered as they can in the span of about 14 school years. It's a lot, and sometimes it's not really exciting, or the kids just aren't mentally there yet. And I think that's kind of one of the problems with education is you have so many topics and so many things that are coming at kids that is not always what they're interested in at the time. I think a lot of topics are sometimes out of like age appropriateness, and it's just not as interesting for them as it could be. But that's one of the reasons why I love homeschooling is we can pick what we're interested in and what my kids are interested in, and we can kind of run with it. We can follow our interests. We can ask questions. When the kids ask a question like, Mom, why does this happen? Or what is that about? Or where does this come from? We can go and like go down a little rabbit trail and find out where did that come from, or why does that happen? What's the scientific process behind how this forms, or whatever it is. And then that might lead us down another rabbit trail. We have that ability in our day because we're not on such a tight schedule, because we're like, homeschooling takes so much less time. We have a lot more time to kind of follow these rabbit trails and kind of see where these little paths take us. And so we get to follow a lot more interest and learn a lot of cool things that would never be taught in school. And I think that's really exciting. We get to follow our kids' talents. We get to see what they're really good at and what are things that they absolutely love, and kind of like dive into that. Zoe loves baking. Zoe is fantastic at baking. She's 4. She can pick out the best recipe out of a cooking book every time. She can find the best recipes on Pinterest. And she's even starting to make her own recipes. She'll be like, I don't want to put just the regular chocolate chips in. I want to put chocolate chips and white chocolate chips and this, and I want to mix it together. And so she's actually starting to like experiment with making her own recipes. We can do that in homeschooling. In fact, we do. Like we have like every one day a week where we do some baking. And that's not only a life skill that I'm teaching my kids and how to read recipes and how to cook for yourself, but it's also like giving Zoe a chance to like follow an interest of hers and a passion of hers, and something she's really good at. That's what we're doing. And I love that we can do that in homeschooling. We can follow things that are happening in our lives. If you guys are watching last week, you know that we just got a puppy. And so we're doing a whole unit on dogs, and we're learning about like domestication and classifications of dogs and dog training and books about dogs and dogs that work. And it's a really exciting thing for us to do. And it's following our interests, what's going on in our lives. And I think because it's following our interests and what's going on and the questions that the kids really want to know the answer to, we actually get a lot more learning done. And I think that's really cool. So we get to learn what we want to learn. We get to study what we want to study. And so if we want to go for a nature walk, we can do that. That can be something that we learn. And for example, Alexi is really into learning the name of plants and trees. That's super cool. The other day she pointed out a plant in our yard that I didn't even know she knew the name of. She's like, Mom, this is a rhododendron. First off, huge word. Secondly, she was right. And that's just something that we get to do because she's interested in it. We get to follow her love of nature and of learning and of being outdoors, and we get to write it down. And so we have things like this, like the Essential Nature Journal, where she can actually write down what she's learned, what she saw. She has room to draw pictures, and she can do this. You know, this can become part of our education for her, is learning about plants and things that she sees outside and natural changes. We can do that at home with our kids, and that's not necessarily something that they can do in the school system. You can't do plant identification units because you can't go outside that often to go off property. You need to have field trip forms, and you have to have enough supervisors. Not everyone has enough green space that they're getting a variety of plants. Like you might just have grass and dandelions in your schoolyard. But we have that ability to kind of go and explore. We have trails right down our street that we like to go down and explore and see what's going on. And like I said, we come into our Essential Natures Journal, and we can document what we see, and we can document what we're learning about. And that's super cool. We can use curriculum that matches our kids, open curriculum and journaling to kind of help educate them in a way that is just more natural and more fun for them, because it's things that they actually want to learn about. And I think that's pretty cool. Number 4, there's no catch up. I love that we don't have to play catch up. I can't tell you how many times I had kids come to school when I was teaching and they were not ready to be at school. They had Like I had kids who came in, they got home at 2 o'clock that morning and from a hockey tournament, and they were in school that day because the parents didn't want them to fall behind, because if they weren't at school, we had to give them the work that they missed. And then they were like a full day behind and they had to catch up on language, math, science, English, French, like whatever the subjects were for that day. They had to catch up and get it done by the end of the week. But those kids who came in were just not ready to learn. They were exhausted. They were cranky. They really shouldn't have been there. And I don't have to worry about that. If we have a late night, we can just take the day off the next day, or we can kind of start our day later, or we can just do it on another day of the week. Maybe we do it on a weekend or on a Saturday, like on a Saturday. We have that ability in our home. When kids are sick, first off, all kids get sick. I can't tell you how many kids were like gone for 2, 3, 4 days and then still had to catch up on their work. And that was like a huge stress to parents. I remember getting phone calls of like, my kids got strep throat. They're going to be out for at least 4 or 5 days. Can you send work home for us? And me like having to like, as a teacher, scramble to compile everything that we're going to get done in the next 5 days, and all of the worksheets and everything that, maybe I haven't photocopied yet. That was stressful for me as a teacher, but then also like handing it off to the parents, hoping they're going to cover it over the next couple of days. And then the parents came back and were like, well, we didn't really know how to do this, and we didn't have this workbook, or we forgot to grab the math book, so we didn't do any of that. And then me having to like still explain to the kids, and then being stressed because they're behind, they don't know where they are with the rest of their class. And like as a teacher in a public school or in a private school, we had to you were kind of on a schedule. You had to keep trucking forward. And so it caused a lot of stress for kids. It caused a lot of parents to send kids when they were kind of ill, or like just getting over a cold, but probably should have still been home. I just don't have to worry about that. If we're sick, we're sick. We just like lay on the couch and watch documentaries. And legitimately, that's what we do. We might read a book, we'll do some puzzles, but like we're just laying low, we're hanging out, and I'll just pick up wherever we left off when we're feeling better. And that's fine. It's healthy. And if I feel like we need to get something done, we have the weekend to do that. I'm not on someone else's schedule. And I think that's kind of a wonderful blessing of homeschooling, is that we just kind of truck on at our own pace. If I want to go work into July, I can work into July. That's my choice. We just keep going until we're done. And it works for us. And I think that is just something that's so amazing, is that my kids don't have that stress of like, we skipped things or we missed things because we were gone, because we were sick, or because we were tired, or because we went on vacation, or because like we don't have those kinds of stresses of missing out on things. Yeah, we don't have to catch up. We just kind of keep trucking along, and it works for us. And lastly, the reason number 5 why I'm so thankful that we homeschool, especially in this pandemic, we have consistency. I think that is just something that I've been so thankful for this year. This past 18 months, I know, has been a wild ride for a lot of parents. It's been crazy with the public schools closing and opening and closing and opening, closing and opening, closing and opening. It's been kind of wild. And going from in class to online to now you're being quarantined to back in line to in class again. Like, it's just been a lot of like transitions. A lot of things have been left behind. A lot of things have been abandoned, projects. I know teachers who have like, well, we're working on this great project, and then we had to abandon it because we went online for 4 weeks. Or we had a lot of students who were working on a group project together, and also we couldn't do that because these 2 kids had to go into quarantine. Or kids who couldn't get to school anymore because their buses were canceled, so now they're learning online until they get a new bus. Like, it's just, yeah, let's just say like the pandemic has really thrown a lot of consistency in education out the window for public school kids. And I don't have to worry about that as a homeschool mom. Yes, some of our things do get canceled. When we go into lockdown and stuff, our play groups are canceled, our gymnastics is canceled, stuff like that. Yes, so it does cancel it, but ironically, it just opens us up to do more activities at home. So we still kind of keep trucking along. During lockdown, we got the most workbook work done we've ever done, because what do you do on a Wednesday when you're usually running out the door to go to playgroup and getting breakfast and getting groceries and running errands, when you can't do any of those things anymore? What's an hour to do a couple extra pages in your workbook? It's nothing. And so we actually got a lot more done actually during quarantine because we had nowhere to go. And now we don't have to worry about bouncing, like I said, back and forth from online to in person. We kind of just keep trucking along. And if things shut down or there's an outbreak in a school, we still don't have to worry about that. We just keep going. And I think the consistency has really kind of paid off for us. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm super, super extra thankful right now that we homeschool, because I'm not panicking. I'm not trying to figure out how to work a Zoom meeting when no one knows how to work a Zoom meeting. I don't have to worry about that. We're just keep doing what we're doing. And I think that's something that works so well with homeschoolers, even outside of the pandemic, is that you have consistency. So if you have a program that's working for your kids, for example, you have a math program you love and it's working, great. You kind of keep trucking along. You guys keep doing it. Your kids have this, they have you know where they are, you get to see what they're doing, and you kind of just keep moving forward in that sense. It's not every year they get a new teacher, or they have a new teacher for math that's different than their teacher for English. Or, we do this program up until grade 3 and then we switch programs for grade 4, 5, and 6. Like, it's different. Like, there's just more consistency because homeschool parents, like, if they find something that's working, they tend to stick with it long term, right? Because it's easier to stick with something that's working with your kids than to constantly be switching it up. And so I think there's just a lot of consistency that happens in homeschooling that doesn't necessarily happen in the classroom. And it's not the teacher's fault either. Like, I'm not blaming teachers for that at all. It's the way the system is set up. It's like government swings political. We want to have it all be much more rote. We want to move away from rote learning. We want to be back at rote learning. Like, it's a lot of like decisions that come from way above teachers, and it affects the way they have to teach and the consistency of like the educational format. And sometimes it leaves holes. I'm not gonna lie. I was a group of kids where they decided when we were in grade 3, we were going to stop doing phonics. They just cut phonics from the curriculum for like 3 years, just because that was like a government thing. I didn't learn any phonics. And like, I know so many friends in my class who struggled with reading and struggled with different things because there was like no phonics, like not even like we're gonna like look at this blend, or there was gonna look at like it was like no phonics. We weren't allowed to talk about what letter sounds were. We weren't allowed to talk about blends, like no phonics. Phonics had been like basically banned from the schools. Even for the kids who were struggling, phonics was not allowed. I know kids who really struggled, and that was just because that was a government mandate that came out that we were not doing that anymore. And then like I said, 2 or 3 years later, they brought it back in because they realized like the test scores went down because kids really were struggling without the foundations of like, sometimes they need to know what sounds make and what letter sounds make. Anyway, I think that consistency in homeschooling is something that you get that is so much stronger than the public school system. And that is something that I'm super thankful for. So that's 5 reasons why I'm super thankful that we homeschool. Like I said, I just love that we can homeschool our kids. And I'm super thankful that it is working for us and that we are in a position and that we're blessed enough to be able to homeschool our kids and that I can be home full time and do that. And I'm so thankful that homeschooling is such a great option and it's legal and we have so much freedom to be able to choose to educate our kids in our country. So I have a lot to be thankful for this year. And like I said, if you guys want to share what you're thankful for, whether it be homeschooling or anything else, sure, drop it below in the comments. And then make sure that you're following us along on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We like to leave a lot of cool information and stuff there. Thank you so much for watching and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.